Hi guys, my name is Meredith and I'm the owner of Makeup by Meredith LLC here in Parkersburg, West Virginia. And I was asked to create a look for your all's national dance competition. So I'm really excited to do that. One of the dance members, Cassidy King, asked me if I could recreate the look. I actually did this very similar look on her for last year during her prom. So I'm gonna try to recreate that to the best of my ability since she said that the costume would go really well with that look. So I'm gonna try and recreate that today. To save time, I already did my base, my face makeup, but I'm going to show you the exact products that I use, and then I'm also going to show you step by step what I'm going to do with the eyeshadow, which obviously I haven't done yet. So for my base, you can use whatever you're comfortable with using. You all know what works best for your skin tone, skin type, and all of that for performance, but for me today, I use the Clinique Beyond Perfecting foundation, so I use that all over, and I'm in the shade Cream Whip. Then over top of that, I went in with the Maybelline Fit Me concealer, and this is the shade Fair. I blended all of that in with a beauty blender, and then I set it with a beauty blender with a translucent setting powder. This one is by the Beauty Bakery. It's just the translucent shade. I also like the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, and there's a whole, list of different translucent powders. A lot of them are very similar. As long as they don't create a white cast, then they should be great. Over top of that, I use the bronzer, the Bahama Mama by the Balm Cosmetics. It's just a deeper, cool tone shade. So I went around the perimeters of my face with that, and then topped it with some blush. This is the one that I use today. It's the Laura Geller Blush and Brighten, and the shade is in Pink Grapefruit. So it's just a warm tone, glowy blush, but whatever you have is fine. I like something with a little bit of glow because it makes the cheekbones pop. But so that's what I use on my face. I also did the for my brows, the IT Cosmetics Brow Power. Brows are really personal, so whatever you like to use is fine there. I just kind of filled in and shaped a little bit. And then for my lip color, this is completely optional, but this is kind of what I used, and lips can go any way you want because there's so many different shades out there, but for me, I started with the MAC lip liner in Spice, and then I topped it with this Maybelline shade. It's called Touch of Spice. It's like a Kylie Jenner type shade, like a cool tone mauve. And then I topped that with, this is the little mini lip paint from Tarte. It's called Tarteist Lip Paint in the shade Birthday Suit, so I just topped that over top of those two products. So I've already primed my lids. Today I use the Milani eyeshadow primer. I really like this. It stays and it holds the look all day and night. But I also like the MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot, and I love Too Faced Shadow Insurance. There's a lot of awesome primers out there. So as long as you're priming your lids properly, you'll be good. I usually start with a cream shade all over the lid. I'm going to use the Jaclyn Hill palette today for the eyes. So it looks like this. Some of you are probably really familiar with this. It's a really beautiful palette, but it doesn't have like a matte like cream shade for all over the lid. It has a lot of really pretty like highlighty shades, but I'm just going to, let me see my brush here. I'm gonna take actually my translucent setting powder and just kind of dip that, and I always put it all over the lid all the way up to the brow bone. So whatever translucent setting powder you have is fine, or if you have like a matte cream eyeshadow, it'll do the exact same thing. This is basically just setting the primer into place, and this is a step that I think a lot of people skip because it's not an exciting step, but because it doesn't add any color or anything, but it does help everything that you put on top of it blend a lot easier. So once we've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and take a fluffy brush, and something like this is fine. I already have shadow on my hands. So I'm just gonna go in with a transition color. So in this palette, either of these, you could even go with something a little warmer, but today I'm gonna stick right up here for the transition color. So whatever order you do your face in is completely fine. There's no rules. Some people like to do their eye makeup first. Some people like to do their shadow first. Since I like to do my face first, I just go in with a little bit of the translucent setting powder before I go in with anything else, and I just kind of bake underneath my eyes. And this is looking crazy, but it's gonna catch anything that falls underneath. So here we are. So we're just gonna leave that until we're done with the eyeshadow. That way, since I've already done my face, it's not gonna mess up any of the work that I've already done. So I'm gonna go in with those transition shades that I just showed you, kind of dab back and forth between them and tap off the excess, and I'm just gonna look in my mirror right over here. So I'm just gonna kind of windshield wiper that back and forth in my crease. I usually raise my eyebrows just so I can really get in there. So usually my technique for eyeshadow is just going from lightest to darkest to the very darkest shade, if that makes any sense. So you're just gonna go one step at a time, a little bit darker, a little bit darker. So we're just gonna go back and forth blending that just to kind of give us a shape to work with there. I'm gonna look at my mirror over here. But these are really nice shades to kind of work with, and they work on a lot of different skin tones. If you're a little bit more tan, a good transition shade might be one of these two. Even this for a little more warmth, like I said earlier. But these are good, and they're so pigmented that they'll work on a lot of different skin tones as well. So we have the transition down. Then I'm gonna go in with a little bit darker of a shade. So I'm gonna go in with this color right here. And I'm not sure if it's picking up properly, but it's a really pretty like brown, but it has a hint of like a mauve undertone, and I think that's really pretty. I'm just gonna go in with the same fluffy brush and kind of work that on the outer corner. I use really like fast, abrupt strokes, but however you like to blend is completely fine. So I'm gonna work that in the outer, and then coming in, I'm not gonna go all the way in though, just so I don't get too dark too quickly. So we're just gonna work that back and forth, and a good blending brush is really gonna help speed this process up as well. Next I'm gonna go in with a little bit darker of a shade. So this is what I just used. This is what I'm going to use, this shade down here. Let's see what the names of these are. This one is called Chip. Sorry, the names were backwards. Okay, so we're gonna dab a little bit of that, tap the excess off, and for this shade, it's pretty dark, so I'm just gonna be really careful with it and only kind of dab that on the outer corner of my eye, and then bring it in a little bit. If it looks messy right now, it's okay, we can go in and blend at the end. So this is kind of the placement, just so you guys can see, and then we're just gonna kind of feather that back and forth to add a little bit of depth there. Okay, same with this side, just want to make sure they're even. Okay, so your hand's gonna get a little tired from blending, but I promise it makes it look so good. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of a denser brush and just kind of go over the edges there. You don't want any harsh edges. You want it to all look blended and seamless and pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with a pencil brush. Something that's just smaller and gives you more control is fine. I typically don't use a lot of black eyeshadow. I usually like to go for like the deep chocolate browns. I'm not sure if it's picking up, but this is the black right here. This is a step above that. It's like a chocolate brown shade, so I'm gonna stick with that. I think it looks a little less crazy, but it still adds that depth, but it's just a little bit more wearable of a shade in my opinion. So I'm just gonna carefully dab my pencil brush into the deep chocolate brown shade, and I'm gonna again be very careful where I'm applying that, just on the very outer edge, and kind of build that color up slowly. But this is gonna give such a pretty dimension to the eye and show up really nicely on stage for you guys too, and that's what we want. So we went in with that deep shade and we placed the color. The pencil brush is nice since it is so precise. That rhymed. You can put it exactly where you want it to be on your eyes. So you can go in with your fluffy brush and kind of blend that out. Okay. So that didn't take too long, and we have a lot of dimension built up already. All right. So let's see. The fun shade that we're going to use today is this gorgeous royal blue shade in this palette. so pretty and it's incredibly pigmented. It has a nice sheen to it as well, so it's gonna be so pretty. Okay, so what I like to do, one moment, I'm going to get a, this is a setting spray. You can use, I use MAC Fix Plus for this. You can use water. I also have like coconut water spray, and anything that's liquid and in a spray form is going to be perfect for this. But I spray the back of my brush. So this is just a flat top shader brush. I'm just going to go in with a setting spray and spray the tip of that. And this is going to make this blue pop so intensely, which is definitely what we want. So I apologize for the lighting, by the way. I don't have professional lighting. I'm just in front of a window, so hopefully you guys can see what I have so far. Okay, that's what we have. I am gonna add a little bit more of that deep color. Okay, perfect, just so we match. All right, so once you have that blended, you have your wet brush right here. I'm gonna tap into this shade right here, just very carefully. And that picks up a ton of pigment on your brush too. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go not on the very edge, we're going to go where the deep meets the light color. We're gonna go right in between those two shades. I'm gonna look in my mirror here. I hope you guys can still see. So we're gonna pat that on the edge. And this is what you have before we blended it out, okay? So you have that blue. I'm gonna do the same on the other side. Just right where those two colors meet. And if you need to re-wet your brush, you totally can. So that adds that really pretty pop of blue, but you still keep the depth in the corners there. Typically in the outer corners of the eyes, I like to keep it more matte. That's just my personal preference, but again, there's no right or wrong way. So then I'm gonna go back in with wow, my hands are insane. We're gonna go back in with that same fluffy brush that we used earlier. And we're gonna go in with that same transition shade from the top, right up here. There's a lot of colors involved, guys, but don't be scared. It makes it look so pretty and dimensional. So we're just gonna kind of go around the edges, not really trying to go over top of that blue because I don't want to dull it down. Just kind of creating a little bit of a blurred effect around. So the trick with eyeshadow is just making sure that it's all blurred and feathered out, and that's what makes it look so pretty and well blended. So we're gonna go in, make sure that's blended really pretty. And then I'm just gonna go back in, just kind of play with it and make sure there's no harsh edges. So if you're still seeing a little harshness, like right here, just go in again with the blue. Okay, and we're gonna kind of slightly feather that inwards. And do the same on this side again. And it's just literally a matter of kind of switching back and forth between brushes. So you're gonna add some color, you're gonna feather, you're gonna add some color, you're gonna feather it out. So that's kind of the trick that I use for my eyeshadow. We're just gonna make sure that's blended as well as we can. Okay, so I'm not gonna worry too much about this line right here because we're gonna top that with a shimmery shade across the lid. So that's gonna blend into it. Just make sure that you have the pigment that you want. So I want this to be more vibrant. I'm gonna go over top of it one more time. And one thing that I do that adds a lot of pigment is kind of pressing and sliding down. That adds a lot of color to the shadow. So we have that. And we're gonna go in now with a fun shade. For me, these are my favorite kinds of shades, but I love these like shimmery metallic-y shades. I'm gonna go in with this one right here. Let's see what it's called. It's called Obsessed. So it's a shimmery kind of champagne color like this. If you want to add more gold, there's also a really pretty gold, and I might mix that in as well. But so for these shades, you can use a flat shadow brush, but I like to use my fingers. I think that you get the best color payoff with that. So just very carefully start from the inner corner and work your way in. I'm just gonna see how much pigment that puts on the eye. It's really crazy. I'm gonna do the same with this side before we blend it out. My hands are a mess. I'm so sorry, guys. So, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. And it really catches the light. kind of use that same technique where you press and slide down vertically. That really makes a big difference too in the pigmentation. I'm going to do the same on this side. It is just stunning. Okay, so you see the line between, wow, between these two shades. We want to blur that line again. So I'm going to go in with the shader brush and take the blue and kind of just feather back and forth really gently between those two shades. And just make sure that's really, really blended. So back and forth, and just take your time, guys. It's so worth it. It looks so pretty and blended. Okay, so now this is a fun part too. It's all fun. I'm gonna go in with an angled brush, just like this. You could also go in with a pencil brush. I like the angled brush because I get more precision. I'm gonna go in again with that same blue shade that we used and dip that. And I'm going to go underneath my eye, really tight up against that lash line. And just kind of dipping back so we get that pigmentation. This is gonna look so pretty for stage makeup too. So I'm going to go underneath, just keeping it really tight against the lash line. So you have that really, I'm sorry if the lighting's not ideal, but you have that blue underneath there. So for Cassidy's look, I used a black kohl pencil on her waterline. You can also use a, let's see here. You can also use a peachy pink shade. You can use a white as well, but I think it looks a little bit better if you use a pinky peach shade. It looks a little more natural. This is one that I like to use. It's the Benefit Highbrow, but there's a lot of different peachy pencils you can use. But since I used the black on Cassidy, I'll go ahead and do that again today. This is the MAC Graph Black Technicolor liner, and it just has a really nice, like, fine, precise edge. So I'm just going to put that in the waterline. And what's nice is that since we already put the blue powder down, that's kind of going to create like a barrier. So since this is a kohl, it's a cream product technically, and so you always want to set a cream with a powder so it doesn't run. So since we've already used that powder, that blue eyeshadow underneath, that's going to prevent it from running down. So just kind of go over that, make sure it's as intense as you want it. So black obviously is going to give you more of like a smoky, intense look. The peach is going to like open up your eyes. So it's whatever you all decide to do, but both look really pretty. I think something in the waterline though kind of makes the look complete. So we've done that. I'm going to go back in with our pencil brush. Let's see if I can find it. And so this is the pencil brush, just something to smudge. And I'm going to go in with one of the shades that we used earlier on the crease, this right up here, not the darker one, but the one right above that. And I'm going to dip that in, and this is going to make your eyes look huge. I know it sounds counterintuitive, because usually when you think of a darker shade, it closes off your eyes. But if you go underneath your lash line with a dark shade, like I'm going to do here, from a distance, it makes your eyes look a lot bigger. So I'm going to go underneath and kind of smudge that, kind of lower than what I would normally do for like an everyday look, but this is not an everyday look. So, I mean, it can be if you want it to be, but I wish I were a little more adventurous with color on an everyday basis, but I'm not. So I usually stick with my neutrals. So I'm looking at this from a distance. Obviously the powder underneath my eyes is pretty crazy, so I'm going to dust that away. I think we've done the majority of what we needed to do there. So I'm going to dust this away with a little kabuki brush. Whatever fluffy brush you have is totally fine. So just make sure all of that's gone and there's no residue left over. Okay, so here's what we have going on in the eyes. I think for stage we could even deepen this up a little bit more. I'm going to go back in with that, not the black, but the deep chocolate brown. And I'm going to go over the edge here just to really, really give some depth there on the edge. And then I am going to blend that out too. This is such a fun stage look. I really love stage makeup. So we're gonna just gonna go back in with that fluffy brush. I hope you guys don't hate me by now, but I do a lot of back and forth blending with, but really I've only used a couple brushes, so it's nice you don't have to have a huge brush kit. You just need like a fluffy brush, a pencil brush, which gives you that precision, and then like an angled brush. The flat shader brush that I use is optional. You could use your finger like I did on the lids here. And if you feel like you've lost any of that color from that lid color, if you feel like you've lost a little bit of pigmentation, just go back in and kind of pat that on top. And it's such a pretty shade. Jaclyn Hill did an awesome job on this palette. If you all don't have the Jaclyn Hill palette, or if somebody needs like a recommendation, feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram or Facebook, and I would be happy to kind of help you find some similar products there. Okay, so everyone has different lash preferences. I'm not going to put them on today, but because there's so many different kinds out there, but I really like, for drugstore lashes, I love the Kiss number 11s, and then I would add some mascara on top of that for stage. And then another pair that I like is called, I believe it's called Hipster, and it's by House of Lashes, but it's the one that they carry in Sephora. So there's so many different kinds out there, whatever you all like to use. Everyone's eye shape is a little different. It's hard since I'm not there in person, but I use different lash sizes for different, depending on the real estate that you have from your lash line to your eyebrow. Really depends on the kind of lashes that suit your face the best. So lashes are totally up to you. After this, after all the eyeshadow's done, I would go in with a liner. So you can either use like a gel liner, a kohl liner. If you do use a kohl liner, I would definitely set it with a powder to make sure it's not going anywhere. But for my personal favorite, I like the Kat Von D ink liner. She also makes one called Tattoo Liner, but I just like this one a little bit better. So I'm just gonna go in and line my eyes, and this just really is such a big, it makes your eyes pop a lot more. Eyeliner is a game changer. Then if you want to do a wing, it took me a long time to like perfect the wing, but for me, I personally, for an everyday basis, I like a felt tip liner like this, because I literally just follow where my lash line is going in that direction, and I just steadily hold it there and stamp it down and drag. And then from there, I'll go from the edge and kind of bring it in and meet it with the rest of the liner. So that's kind of an easy way to do a wing. So I just kind of rest the felt tip against my lash line and kind of do the general shape. And then for the wing, obviously for stage, you can make this huge, guys. Like, you can go out there, but up to you. I'm going to do the same thing where I just kind of stamp it and then drag it down and kind of meet it with the rest. So let's see. So there's your liner. I did a little smudgy here that I'm going to wipe away. Everybody makes mistakes, guys. Okay, so there's your liner. I am going to do a little bit more dramatic just for fun. Just kind of drag it out a little longer than what I would normally wear, but this is a dramatic stage look. So if you want to add more, you can always do that. You can add more underneath here. Obviously lashes are going to make this look completely game changing. Lashes make a huge difference. And again, with the lip color, you can use a mauve shade like I used on Cassidy, or you can use whatever you want. So if you're going to use a lipstick or even a liquid lipstick, I would always start that with like a lip liner, and then you can always add gloss and stuff on top, but that's just going to help the lip color adhere to your lips a lot better. So also another step that I wouldn't forego is highlight. You can even use, oh my gosh, these two shades are so pretty as highlight. One thing I always do as well is, let's see, I'm going to take a little bit of like this very first shade. This is such a stunning highlight shade, and I'm just going to highlight the inner corners of my eyes and my brow bone. And this definitely can be seen from a distance, and go kind of like really tight, like right underneath the brow bone. And that just kind of lifts the brow a little bit and gives you some break in between that deep color. You can even go right on the top of your Cupid's bow, a little down the nose, on your cheekbones as well. So yes, I hope that this was helpful. I hope it wasn't too long, but I really wanted to go into detail for you guys. Again, with lashes, this is such a game changer. I think my hand was covering the mic, so I hope that you heard what I just said. But thank you for bearing with me here during this tutorial, and excuse the non-professional setup, but I definitely wanted to jump on this for you guys, and I hope that you all enjoy this look. And again, if you have any questions at all on what I did, if you need any help, I can even FaceTime you or whatever you guys want me to help you with. I would be happy to do that. Shoot me a message. It's at Makeup by Meredith on Instagram and Makeup by Meredith on Facebook as well. So, all right. I hope you guys like it, and I hope you guys do awesome at nationals, and I will be cheering you all on from afar. So good luck and have a great day. Bye.